So far then in this series, we've been talking around some of the technological changes for measuring attribution in, I guess, the modern world. We've also been looking at how we can start to model contribution. Historically, when we've talked quite a lot about digital attribution and digital marketing, many of the activities we've been doing, we've been looking to drive efficiency. The core challenge of driving efficiency is that typically activity like brand gets overlooked. So what are you seeing with our clients and in the wider industry at the moment?
I think two of the biggest conversation topics at the moment in the industry are that hesitation towards brand-focused strategies or balanced brand and performance strategies. And the other side of that coin is the performance plateau. So those two things are linked. The performance plateau is when typically scale-ups, although it does apply to other types of business as well, where they've enjoyed a high demand category and they've been converting that demand with what we would call traditional performance-focused activities or strategies. Social, for example, and search would be, I guess, the most recognizable tactics here. When scale-ups launch into the market, they've usually done so because they're answering for a consumer need that isn't being answered somewhere else. So there's often quite high demand that they are able to convert efficiently. Now then what happens is once they've started converting more and more of that demand efficiently, competitors start getting wind of this consumer demand. They come into the market. More of that demand is being answered. There's less demand to convert. And thus, their performance-focused approach starts getting less and less efficient because it's harder to find those consumers to convert. That's the performance plateau. Your performance media rocketed up in efficiency like this and then starts to tail off. Then what do? Then it's about switching into a more brand-focused approach. And that's because you need to grow demand again, right? So where there was demand existing, there isn't anymore. You've got to find some way of growing that demand. The problem that we typically see with brands who are faced with this quandary is that they try and measure the brand activity in exactly the same way that they're measuring the performance. Performance is a sort of a quick, almost immediate efficiency play. The demand is there and you're converting it. Brand, it's going to take a bit more time.
And it's a lot harder, isn't it, to sort of generate and then capture that demand as well. You're almost having to do a couple of jobs over a longer period of time. And I think that's where some of the modelling really starts to unlock that, particularly for, as you say, those scale-ups, the mid-market that, historically hasn't had access to a lot of this data before. In the market right now, some of the solutions available are helping, I guess, businesses understand the lag between that above the line exposure through to when, that second interaction, a purchase or whatever happens. So I think looking at that lag effect is also quite an important topic as well.
Exactly. And that's where a contribution-focused approach to effectiveness is going to end up being much more valuable than just simple attribution. And I know attribution isn't simple, but attribution, again, has historically been based around the concept that this channel drove this short-term effect. Whereas when we're looking at increasing demand, what you might call a full funnel or full journey approach to both growing and converting demand, you actually need to start looking at the total holistic contribution of all of your holistic strategy. So it's not about this drove this, it's about your total strategy in the round and how those individual channels are contributing to the success of your generation and conversion of demand.
That's going to make it a lot easier, I guess, then for CMOs and CFOs to jump in on more activity, video display, right through to digital out of home, traditional out of home, all that sort of work as well.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is to remember that they're not in silos. So brand and performance are not these separate disciplines. It's part of one strategic thought. And critically, I think when marketing teams are looking at when is the right time to start switching gears into a bit more of a brand-focused approach, you've got to understand how much demand there is in the market, how able you are to convert that demand. We might call that availability. And looking at those two things together, are we able to continue efficiently converting demand? Is there enough in there, and are we good enough at converting it?
I think the measurement part can play like a huge part there in particular, especially sort of bottom of the funnel, that sort of demand harvesting type activity. We're able, certainly now in the market, we're able to look at where you are on that efficiency curve, on the saturation curve, where are your diminishing marginal returns on that demand harvesting activity. When you know you're approaching you're past the point of efficiency on that curve, that's actually when you need to really consider changing your strategy so that you are able to create that demand as well.
Yeah, totally. It's about understanding it in the round as well.
A lot of measurement solutions, be it, direct digital attribution or more sort of contribution modeling that you might get through, econometrics such as media mix modeling. Obviously, a lot of this looks backwards. How does a brand wrestle with the fact that that data from the past is telling them, giving them insights that, X campaign or platform has generated a certain return for them? How does a brand take that insight and then end up later delivering a full funnel brand-led strategy?
We use a methodology called growth dynamics, which maps level of demand in market versus your ability as a brand to convert that demand, availability. It's based on competitor activity, as well as what we can see about consumer behavior in market demand. All of that is based on either a moment in time or a historical view. We can't predict the future, of course, but we can be pretty confident in how we use that data to understand how the market might shift over the next 3, 6, 12 months. So a brand looking at their growth dynamics should confidently be able to say that based on what is happening in market with my competitors, with customer behavior, with existing demand, the right thing for this brand to cut through and deliver efficiently is this. And as you're building out that strategy, it is critical to make sure that that measurement solution is in place so that you can, over a period of time, understand the short, the medium, and the long-term effectiveness metrics that you're delivering against that strategy.